Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Going the Distance. This is episode 61. Can you believe we've done 61 episodes? I can't, but I want to welcome the new members who are just joining me for the first time, and I want to welcome back the members who have been joining me from the beginning. Your support is greatly appreciated. So before we get started, I'd like you to hit the thumbs up and like the video. I'd like for you to hit the subscribe button, and I'd like for you to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode, because we get into some good stuff here. So don't really have that much to get into because football season's winding down and we're waiting for the Super Bowl on Sunday. So I've got some NFL news. I've got the what we're listening to segment, and we'll just get into it. So first off, I want to talk about the Raiders. The Raiders hired a new defensive coordinator, and they got Ohio State's defensive coordinator, Chip Kelly. Now, football fans remember Chip Kelly was a head coach in the NFL years ago. He coached the Philadelphia Eagles, and if I remember right, I think he had a stint with the San Francisco 49ers. And then he couldn't really get much going, so he went back to college. I think he went to UCLA, and then I didn't hear anything else about him. But then he reemerged in Ohio State, and since Ohio State won the national championship this year, like every other championship team, all these other teams start pulling from the championship team. It happens every year. It happens in college. It happens in the NFL. It happens in baseball. It happens in hockey. It happens in every sport. So, we'll see how Chip Kelly does with the Raiders under Pete Carroll. And if I didn't tell you guys this last week, Pete Carroll was hired as the Raiders head coach. So that only leaves the New Orleans job, and we established last week that Kellen Moore was the front runner for that job. But right now, Kellen Moore is the coordinator for the Eagles. So since the Eagles are in the Super Bowl and play on Sunday, they can't. The Saints can't do anything with Kellen Moore until after Philadelphia's season's over, which means after Sunday, that's when they can do their signing and all this other stuff. Because Kellen's already interviewed, during their off weeks or in between weeks. So if I remember right, Philadelphia played the wild card game, and I can't remember if they did the division game and then Kellen interviewed with the Cowboys, or if it was the wild card game and he interviewed with the Cowboys. It seems like that was the case. They played the wild card game. He interviewed with the Cowboys. He was a front runner for the Cowboys. And then Jerry Jones lost his mind and picked up Brian Schottenheimer. So Kellen was, since he wasn't hired yet, he was able to talk to other teams. So then he went to and talked to New Orleans. Well, now he's the front runner in New Orleans because they're the only team left. So we'll see how that plays out. And I might have some news next week about New Orleans and their new head coach. But I got a little sidetracked there. Chip Kelly's the new defensive coordinator for the Raiders. Let's see how he does. I've always thought he was a better coordinator than he was coach, because he was fantastic. Chip Kelly was the head coach of Oregon when Marcus Mariota played for the Oregon Ducks. And he really got Marcus Mariota to where he needed to be in the NFL. And then Marcus was a product of going to a team, that he wasn't fit for. Now, granted, I believe that was Tennessee he was drafted to, and they really needed a quarterback, but this was pre-Mike Vrabel Tennessee. After Vrabel got to Tennessee, he turned that program around, just like he's going to turn the Patriots around this next season. But we'll see how Chip Kelly does in Las Vegas, and we'll be keeping an eye next season. Saquon Barkley, player for the Philadelphia Eagles, he got engaged to his college girlfriend over the weekend. They started dating in 2017 when they both went to Penn State. They have 2 kids together. So I think it's time. And now they're both thinking, well, he's going to the Super Bowl, so, we'll see how well that does. And if, he might get a Super Bowl ring, and if he doesn't get a Super Bowl ring, he'll definitely get a wedding ring. So congratulations to you, Saquon. We'll be watching you on Sunday and seeing how your Eagles do, even though I think we all know the outcome of Sunday. In a surprise news this week, Myles Garrett, who plays for the Cleveland Browns, has asked to be released from the Browns. Now, that being said, a lot is surrounding this decision, I believe. I believe a lot of it has to do with Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett trying to distance himself from Deshaun because of all the legal action that was going around with Deshaun. Even though they talk about, that being over. Deshaun's just not the player that, he used to be. So, Deshaun was a good college player when he was in Clemson. And he's the prime example of maybe the NFL was just too big for Deshaun. Because I was excited, everybody was excited to see Deshaun Watson when he got drafted. He gets drafted to Houston, he has like one good season. And then after that, he tanked. He started getting these allegations, and you guys can look it up. I'm not going to bring it up here because, football fans already know what's going on, but he got accused of some stuff. So go check that out. And Houston traded Deshaun to the Browns. Well, the Browns paid Deshaun all this money, and they think he's going to be their franchise quarterback for the next 8-9 years. Even though I don't think he really had 8 or 9 years. This is what Cleveland's thinking. And then things happened, and he just can't, he hadn't been healthy. So I think it's time for Deshaun to either move on to a different team or retire. And that's what I think. I said all that because I think that's what Myles Garrett's thinking. Now, Myles Garrett has a chip on his shoulder, and he's known to go out and, if he gets mad, he just shows it out on the field. He'll go to the sidelines and he'll slam his helmet down, this, that, and everything else. But, where's a good fit for him? I've seen places like the Lions and the Broncos and the Bills and the Patriots. Where do you guys think Myles Garrett should go? What's the best fit? Should he stay in that division? And I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of players or coaches being released or fired and then going to coach in the division, playing their rival school or their rival team twice a year. I get why they do it. I'm just not a big fan of it because I don't see the reason for it. I mean, I get revenge games. I get that. We all have them. Every team goes through that. But when you sit and think about it, people like the Bills and the Chiefs or whatever you want to call them, the cheaters, they play each other every year. The Bengals and the Chiefs, or cheaters, play each other once a year, just like the Bills and the Chiefs. If I didn't say that, Bills, Chiefs play each other at least once a year because of that rivalry. they want to make it a rivalry. In my opinion, it's not a rivalry. I think Burrow, I know Burrow's got Mahomes, Kermit the Frog's number, and I know Josh Allen can beat Kermit the Frog. They both can do it. So, it's not really that big of a rivalry, in my opinion. They just want to make it one. So, in my opinion, Miles, I would go somewhere outside of the division. Go somewhere like a Detroit or like a Denver. And then, more than likely, the Browns and your new team are going to play each other once, if not twice a year. And it's only once a year if you're outside of the division, twice a year if you're in the division. And if you're lucky, you might not have that revenge game for another year or two if you're still playing. So we'll keep an eye on you, Miles, and we'll see where you end up. I hadn't really thought about it. You could go somewhere like the Jets. They're rebuilding, and they need some big players because we know Aaron Rodgers more than likely isn't going to be back with the Jets, and Devontae Adams isn't going to be there, so they need somebody to fill Devontae's shoes. So maybe you could step into the Jets job. That's a possibility. But we'll see how it goes. We'll follow where you go, Miles, and we'll see what happens there. So on a sad note, earlier this morning, Tiger Woods announced his mom passed away at 76 years old. I don't quite know all the details about it, but I wanted to bring up the fact that his mom passed away I believe it was 76 years old. So Tiger, your family's in our thoughts and prayers, and you can get through this. Moving back to football, the Chief Cheaters and the Philadelphia Eagles are in New Orleans right now. They started Super Bowl week, which means they have all their media stuff. They have interviews. They do all their stuff getting ready for the big game on Sunday. So they're already in New Orleans getting set for the game. Who are y'all's picks for the Super Bowl? I'm not picking. I'm just watching the game. I don't have a dog in this fight, so I'll watch it just to see. Now, these two teams played each other, I believe it was 2 years ago, and the Cheaters actually beat Philadelphia. So we'll see how it goes. And what do y'all do for Super Bowl? What are some of the foods y'all make? What kind of parties do you guys throw? What do you guys have in mind for the Super Bowl? I mean, I'm just gonna cook up some Super Bowl food, watch the game, and then I've got to work the next day. So I'm gonna try to stay up and see the whole game. But if I can't, I'll at least stay up till halftime. Like I said, I'm gonna try to stay for the whole game. So who are you guys rooting for? That's about all for sports news. We're going to move into the what we're listening to segment, who we're listening to. And who are we listening to this week? It's my favorite country artist, Blake Shelton. As I said, he's a country artist from Ada, Oklahoma. He started his career in 2001, his singing career in 2001, but he went to Nashville, I believe it was in 98, and wanted to be a songwriter. Well, his songwriting career never took off. So he cut a few songs, and record company loved him. And he came out, and his first album came out in 2001. In fact, his first single was Austin, which is a great song with a great meaning behind it. So he had a self-titled debut album. He's had 12 studio albums, 54 singles, 43 music videos, 5 compilation albums, no live albums, and his last new album was back in 2021 with his Body Language. Now, he's been, and my favorite album from him is If I'm Honest. It's got some great songs on it. It's just one of my favorites. He's also married to No Doubt's lead singer Gwen Stefani. He's been married to her for, I want to say, 4 or 5 years now. And before that, he was married to Miranda Lambert. And Miranda and Blake were the power couple back when they were together. They were winning all these CMAs and American Music Awards and American Country Awards and all that. And you could just, figure new award show, the Country Music Awards, Blake Shelton, Miranda Lambert were going to win. Well, after they split, and I'm Team Blake all the way on this. On their split, I'm Team Blake, always will be, always have been. After they split, that's when the awards stopped coming for both of them. Well, for her. He still wins some more awards than she does. But she's been, has a rocky past. And, she gets hooked up with all these people like Carrie Underwood. And when Carrie and her, in fact, when those two became friends, that's when I think Carrie's career started to decline. So I think Blake saw that, plus a bunch of other things that were going on, and he wised up and saw Miranda for who she really was and divorced her. So good for you, Blake. You've moved on. You were a judge on The Voice, and you were a fantastic judge on The Voice. You won numerous times, more times than anybody on that show, and I miss seeing you on the show. In fact, I quit watching The Voice after you left, but I look forward to seeing what you have planned in the future. I know you're releasing new singles, so hopefully you're releasing these singles to lead up to a new album, because as I said earlier, your new album was in 2021's Body Language, so let's hope you have something new coming. But that's about all I have for you guys this week. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the week. Have a good weekend, and I hope for you Philadelphia and Kansas City fans, you enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm just going to sit and watch it, and I'm going to report next week on it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys next week. God bless.